Not all credit cards are created equal. Some of the best cards of all time are now starting to show some cracks and are on the decline. Meanwhile, some other cards that have been under the radar for a while have been getting improvements added into them. Some people seem to think that once you've learned about a number of cards, your job is done. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that is not always the case. The credit card landscape is constantly changing, and that's why in this video, I'm going over 5 cards that are getting better and 5 cards that are getting worse. For each of the 5 going up and each of the 5 going down, I'm going to keep this extremely simple. You can find other reviews on my channel going into detail on all of the pros and cons of the cards and what they really bring to the table in a wallet setup. However, this video is going to highlight what's getting better and the impact that may have on you, and what's getting worse and the impact that may have changed from what you originally thought the card was all about. Let's start on the positive side with the 5 cards that I see that are continuing to add benefits. Starting off with number 1, the Capital One Venture X. In my mind, this is a card that has steadily seen valuable improvements baked into the offering over the past few years. Let's start with one thing they've kept, which has indirectly improved the card, and that is the Hertz President Circle status. Now, there was a time as we approached the end of 2024 where Capital One Venture X cardholders, like myself, were extremely nervous, and that's because it appeared that the Hertz President Circle status given to all cardholders of the Venture X was going to end at the end of the year. However, Capital One and Hertz arranged a deal and extended that program indefinitely, giving you the ability to skip the line and get free upgrades, as well as a dedicated customer service line when you rent through Hertz. Now, I was so invested because this is one of my sneaky favorite benefits on the card, and if you've ever stood in an airport rental car line after touching down, you understand just how important President Circle status can be and what that actually means for the experience of your trip. The next area improving on the Venture X is actually lounge access. Now, the Venture X did lose Plaza Premium lounge access very recently. However, new into the Priority Pass program is escape lounges, and this has proven personally to be a real game changer. Now, as soon as the Venture X got access to escape branded lounges, I looked into them right away because I'd never actually had the opportunity to step inside, but I saw great reviews online about the overall quality of the lounge package. As fortune would have it, in the new Kansas City airport, which I fly out of on any trip that I take, an escape lounge was just recently built, and then it's been opened in the past few months, and I had the chance to check it out on my most recent flight. As you can see from the videos and images inside, it's new, clean, spacious, and the food is really great, and it matches everything I'd seen about escape branded lounges from other airports online. I also have to mention that Capital One is building out their own branded lounges, and they continue to have plans to expand more. They currently have 4, but I think in the next few years we could see that number get close to 10, because this is the main draw for the Venture X, which is their premier credit card. They're also expanding into lounge-ish concepts called Capital One Landings, and I'm excited to see where that takes them as well. Finally, Capital One is also branching into Amex's turf, which is something that I call experiential access. Amex has long been the card that gets you exclusive access to different sports, culture, and musical events, but now Capital One is launching in themselves, and recently I was able to go to the Final Four in San Antonio and get free access to the Capital One Fan Fest, which had food, drinks, and just overall made the event a whole lot more fun. That saved me about $25 on a standard admission ticket, and I got that just for showing my Venture X card before being admitted into the event. The second card that I'm seeing real changes being made in the right direction is the Fidelity Rewards Signature Visa. Now, this card has been around for a long time. $0 annual fee, 2% flat cashback unlimited on everything. It's about as straightforward as a card could possibly get. However, and credit to Fidelity, they have been making consistent improvements, adding features to this card to make it more competitive. In fact, in my opinion, now better than any of the other 2% cashback cards out there. They've added TSA PreCheck, rental car insurance, and even a travel portal, which, hey, has been admittedly a little bit hit and miss. It's very difficult to find, and I'm not even quite sure Fidelity remembers themselves that they built it and it exists. However, since they made the effort to launch it, I'm assuming they have some sort of plan to continue to build off of that in the future. Regardless, amongst its peers, it's punching well above its weight because those other cards, they just haven't made any changes or even bothered to enhance their product for you and I, and Fidelity has now pulled ahead with those additions I've just mentioned. Now, I recently made a video on why I like this card for a whole bunch of other reasons so much, so I'll encourage you to check that one out if the Fidelity Visa sparks your interest after this video is over. Card 3 on the uprise is actually the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Of course, we can't skip over the ridiculous sign-up bonus period that was just madness in the credit card community, with Chase offering 100,000 ultimate rewards points, probably the most valuable credit card currency out there, for just this $95 annual fee card. Not to mention, this is a card that has a seamless downgrade option because if you don't like the card after you burn through those 100,000 points and got nearly $12,000 or even more in value from that sign-up bonus, well, you could simply flip the card into the $0 annual fee Freedom Series and you're fine, and there's been no harm, no foul. However, recently, I feel this card has been actually improving because more and more people in different corners of the internet have been finding ways to use that online grocery in different capacities to earn 3x back at grocery stores and make that a better play. It used to be that the 3x on online groceries was essentially ignored on this card. But as online groceries have come into more popularity in everyday life, and there are little hacks that people are finding as to ways to use this even in store, well, it makes the Sapphire Preferred just that much more valuable. For example, many people have found that if they go to Publix, which is a grocery store chain in some areas of the United States, you can actually scan the QR code on the screen and pay for your groceries in the app even if you're in store. Even if you simply redeem that 3x back on groceries for the 25% boost you get in the travel portal, that means you're effectively earning 3.75% back on all grocery spend. That's incredible for the cost of this card. Lastly, I'd say this card continues to increase in value because of its constant comparison to the Reserve, which simply has not moved. And when you can get about 90% of the value from the Sapphire Preferred for about $400 less in annual fee compared to the Sapphire Reserve, well, to a lot of people when budgets are increasingly being pinched, that continues to seem like a better and better proposition. This one is going to be controversial, so hear me out and then let me know what you think in the comments. But the fourth card that I feel is actually been improved in the last year has been the American Express Gold Card. Now, you either love it or you hate it, but I actually tend to like the improvements, and here's why. This card used to be a $250 annual fee card. Of course, it was bumped to a $325 annual fee card. However, American Express added $184 in value to offset that annual fee bump. They did that in the form of an $84 Dunkin' credit and $100 split semi-annually to Resy. Now, $184 of increase compared to a $75 annual fee increase, well, I like to think that most people can make that work. See, as long as you know the Dunkin' hack, which is to reload $7 increments in the Dunkin' app on gift cards, you can actually store those Dunkin' credits to use at one time when you actually want to redeem them. And all you need to do is find a Resy location once every 6 months and go out to eat. And essentially your meal, and probably most of one other person eating with you's meal, is covered just based on that credit. Now, I know Resy locations are few and far between in some areas, and I'm not criticizing people who cannot find the value for the Gold Card simply because American Express has consolidated their ideal consumer to cities. I hate that, and I don't think it's a good thing for their brand. However, if you live in a more populated area, I feel this card actually got more valuable, even though the annual fee continued to increase as well. Finally, if you're concerned about value with the Amex Gold and you haven't added Rakuten as a browser extension to get more back on your online shopping, I highly recommend that you go and take that step today. Of course, Rakuten gets you cash back with other credit cards, but if you attach your Amex membership rewards account, you can get those more valuable membership rewards points and actually redeem them for higher than the regular cashback value. So if you're interested, feel free to use my link in the description for $30 free after you make that first purchase. Card number 5 is not a credit card, but it is one of the most popular cards and certainly one of the hottest in 2025. This is the PayPal debit. Now, what's improving? Let's just say the debit card game as a whole. Debit cards have been coming onto the scene and rising in popularity for cards that can actually offer legitimate rewards that will change your wallet. The PayPal debit card offers cash back, purchase protection, and even limited partner rewards as part of their offering. And of course, the improvement that has been a game changer for so many people is the $1,000 spend cap earning 5% at grocery stores. And that even includes standard Walmarts when you click the grocery category as your 5% category in the PayPal app. This is certainly an interesting curveball in a credit card dominated world. Now, let's just transition into the dark side of this video. There are some issuers that I have serious gripes with, and that's because they've hurt real people like you and I by promising something and then slowly pulling it away. Or in the case of our first card, not even slowly pulling it away, just pulling the rug straight out from underneath. The first card I feel compelled to mention in the 5 cards getting worse, well, that's the US Bank Smartly Visa card. Do you remember the days when US Bank was promoting a 4% unlimited cashback card that, if you met their conditions, would potentially be the most powerful cashback earning card on the market today? Well, I do, and that's because it was just months ago that US Bank was pushing their Smartly Visa. And all of us sat here and said, we don't trust you, US Bank. This is too good to be true. But I know that there are people out there who went and jumped through all of the hoops and signed up for the different US Bank accounts necessary to trigger unlimited 4% rewards. And that's what they should have got. US Bank, they nerfed this into the ground. You can technically still earn up to 4% cash back. However, your $100,000 that you needed previously to do that, well, that can only be in a checking or a savings account. US Bank pulled the investment option for countable dollars. They pulled that right off the table. Additionally, your 4% back is limited to the first 10K in each billing cycle, which doesn't seem ridiculous for a lot of people out there, but this card was also targeted at the uber high spending consumer who had a lot of money. And for some people out there, they were promised something and now it's just being rolled back and nerfed. Card number 2 is another from US Bank. The US Bank Altitude Go. Now I know US Bank is going to hate me for this video, but we have to shoot it straight and they're the ones doing it to themselves. Thankfully, the changes here aren't quite as bad. However, US Bank valuations on their redemptions for the Altitude Go used to be a straight 1-to-1 ratio. This was great for exchanging for things like statement credit. But now different users are reporting and we're seeing data points that redemption values have been decreased to about 0.7 to 0.8 cents per point for the same statement credit, unless you jump through a variety of US Bank hoops to bring that back up to the 1-to-1 ratio. People are reporting that you now have to make redemption deposits into your US Bank Smartly account, but the catch behind that is US Bank Smartly accounts have ingrained maintenance fees unless you maintain a certain balance. If you have this card, let me know what your experience out there has been. However, what I'm hearing hasn't been good. At number 3 in the cards getting worse, I unfortunately have to bring one of my favorite cards on the table here, and that's the Delta SkyMiles Reserve card with an honorable mention to its little brother, the Delta SkyMiles Platinum card. Now, in what I can only imagine to be an effort to cut back on the extreme overcrowding in airport lounges, Sky Club access has been cut back in the past year on this card. It used to get you unlimited visits to lounges like the Sky Club, Centurion, and Escape lounges, which I mentioned before, are very, very nice. However, now the Reserve card, a $650 annual fee card, only gets you 15 visits in a calendar year. Unless you spend over $75,000 on that card, then you can get your unlimited visits back. Now, if you read the fine print, it's not that bad. A visit can technically extend for an entire day. So you could hit more than one lounge over multiple stops in your trip, and you're only going to be charged 1 day's worth of visits, even if you enter and exit multiple times. You also get only 4 guest passes per year on this card, and I see that really impacting families more who travel quite often because it would be much easier to burn through those. I know a lot of you just want kids out of lounges completely, but I can certainly foresee families having the exact opposite argument about just wanting and deserving a place to stay with a premium card that they've already paid for. I also flagged the Delta Platinum as an honorable mention here because whether you knew this or not, that card also used to have lounge access in some capacity, but alas, that got nerfed and eliminated as well. Next up at number 4 is the United Explorer card, and this one does hurt a little. This used to be a no-brainer in finding surplus value, and that's just the kind of card I love. However, now it's become a little bit more of a thought process for how you're going to return that same value on this budget travel card. In disappointing fashion, Chase decided to lean into what Amex has been doing for some time and turn this card into a coupon book. They raised the annual fee, bringing it from $95 up to $150 and added a bunch of credits. $100 in hotel credits split in two, $60 in rideshare at a laughable $5 a month. $50 in Avis and budget rent-a-car credits, which you actually don't even get back as credits. You earn it back as $25 in United Travel Bank, a $120 Instacart credit, and $100 in JSX credit, which is really for private plane reservations. Like I said, it's still a viable card, but you do have to jump through some of those hoops in order to now recoup a higher annual fee. For most people, these changes were negative. It took a simple card, made it more complex, and also raised the annual fee. And for me, that's a sign of a downward trend. Last but not least, in cards trending downwards, I thought it would be worth mentioning the Hilton Honors Surpass card. What's getting worse? Well, this one is extremely straightforward. The Surpass card comes with a $150 annual fee that could easily be offset by $200 worth of Hilton credits. This was a credit that was divided quarterly, with $50 being applied maximum each quarter. So what did people do? Make sure to stay at a Hilton property every single quarter in order to recoup that $150 value? Well, no, they didn't. For quite a while, Hilton Surpass cardholders had been logging onto the Hilton gift card website every 3 months, purchasing a $50 gift card, and then combining those gift cards for when they actually wanted to stay at a Hilton property, thus guaranteeing them positive value every single year. This made for a great card when you added the other benefits like status, an annual free night potential, and all the other little benefits. However, Hilton seems to have clamped down and potentially even completely closed off this redemption method. For months, Hilton's website has read, "Due to an unforeseen inventory shortage, Hilton gift card sales are temporarily suspended. We're expecting new inventory soon and sincerely apologize for the inconvenience." And people are speculating if this is true or not. How do you have a gift card inventory shortage? Anyways, if Hilton decides to cut this off permanently, well, a lot of people are going to have to rethink this card, and thus the value proposition has really changed. Now, I just want to wrap up here by telling you a few cards that I'm currently monitoring. I'll encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in getting updates, because as soon as we hear something, I'll make a video and break down what it really means. But I'm paying attention to the Alaska Airlines premium card launch, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and if it's going to get refreshed, and a potential $795 rumored annual fee, an Amex Platinum annual fee increase, the effects of the Capital One and Discover merger, the Southwest card refresh, which potentially needs to come now that Southwest has completely become like every other airline, and the World of Hyatt's long-rumored premium credit card. Any of these could be getting better, or they could be getting worse. But no matter what, I'll let you know what I think and how you could take the most possible advantage of whatever gets released. Thanks so much for watching this one. I can't wait to see you in the next video.